Competition is built on rivalry. The best stories in esports are about two great players vying for glory, constantly outdoing the other in pursuit of victory. This is not that kind of story.
xPeke was the better player, Ocelote was the better performer and personality, and everybody knew it, and he hated it.
When we played the first times, I thought that he was really good, but then I think I became way better, and at some point I didn't see him as a big rival anymore.
I remember telling to myself, this guy is really fucking lucky. I would still have every now and then some nightmares about the fucking backdoor.
Deal with this one, catches him with another axe, he's very low. They're pushing on the
At some point, I was not thinking any longer about the game all the time. And I was thinking about other things, like, I want to build something.
There is no chance TL comes back from this. They're already on to the Nexus turrets. This is what peak League of Legends looks like, and it comes from Europe.
It's not about the opponent failing. It's about you proving to yourself and those that follow you that you have it in you to build something that succeeds.
This is the story of a rivalry that exists exclusively in fans' heads. A rivalry that was never anything but one-sided. A rivalry that, despite barely being real, defined European League of Legends for years. And to be honest, it's hard to even really call it a rivalry anymore.
What Ocelote has been able to do with G2 esports blows Peke and Origen's accomplishments and success out the water by such a massive margin that it's offensive to call it a rivalry. I know I'm making it into that piece.
Carlos Ocelote Rodriguez and Enrique xPeke Cedeno Martinez are not bitter rivals. In fact, these days, they barely think about each other.
I mean, I think about it, like, for me, it's not like a rivalry that big.
How do you feel about Peke now? Do you even think about him when you're, like back to those days at all?
No, I don't, man.
But just a few years ago, it was impossible to talk about European League of Legends and not talk about xPeke and Ocelote, the league's two-star Spanish mid laners. But Ocelote and xPeke's rivalry didn't start as a continent-defining battle for glory. It started with two dudes who just couldn't stop running into each other.
I remember the very beginning of esports in League of Legends was Go for Loss, which is the ESL weekly tournament that happened around League of Legends. And in that tournament, we always fought in the final. It was like very often we fought against each other, My team against Peke's team, my team against Peke's team. And at the very beginning, we always beat them. And then when things got a little bit more serious with offline tournaments, they started beating us a little bit more often. And yeah, that rivalry kind of got born,
It was pretty natural for the fans to start seeing them as rivals. They were both Spanish, both played mid, and they were both rising stars in the early days of European League. But that's pretty much where the comparison ended. See, Ocelote was a showman. He knew the value of talking trash and being funny on stream.
No worries, I got you. Very nice.
But xPeke dominated in-game. He was a mid-lane god, eventually taking on some of the best players in the world.
Fights. Def just finished his Trinity Force. Dade's got his
Shadow used.
Brutalizer. It's all about finding fights.
Deathmark going down, but is he going to be enough? Dade is going to be. Oh! xPeke! Oh, the ignite!
xPeke played for Fnatic, going all the way back to 2011, when he helped them win the first ever League of Legends World Championship.
One turret is down. They're going to back off for now. Leonite taking a lot of damage from Ash. 300 damage. Crits are out there. That is one turret dead. Second turret dead. Fnatic going to win the Season 1 championship if they can hold on. This Nexus will go down. Congratulations to Fnatic winning the Season 1.
Meanwhile, Ocelote was a great player who just sort of refused to adapt.
In real life, I'm the most athletic person, but in-game, I have only one gear, and that is aggression,
Now, Ocelote's career started around the same time as xPeke's, but his just didn't take off the same way. He signed with SK Gaming, and they did fine.
Jim Bones gets stunned up. There's a bullet time coming in to finish, but Kha'Zix jumps into the middle of them. Not for long though, he is destroyed. The wild growth was on Candy Panda as well. That will be a 3-0.
By the time the EULCS rolled around in 2013, SK were a strong team, but struggled to take out the best rosters in the region. But Ocelote and xPeke's clashes were the stuff of legend. Every League fan looked forward to Fnatic and SK facing off, a matchup that was dubbed El Clasico.
It was a lot of fun because back in the day, Fnatic versus SK was one of the most competitive matches that you could have watched. And historically, Fnatic versus SK in every other esport was also exceptionally competitive. Their Counter-Strike 1.6 teams were very, very good. I was a huge fan of their Quake players who regularly made top 8 placements. And the esports industry was significantly smaller with less games. So it meant that you tended to be more aware of all of these other matches and all these other events that were happening. So it used to be called El Clasico, the fact that it was 2 Spanish players competing against one another, referencing obviously the football teams here in Europe.
And it was this pair who also gave League of Legends one of its greatest moments. At IEM Katowice 2013, SK were about to take Fnatic out when xPeke went for a historic, heroic backdoor to win the game and create one of the most famous clips in League history.
xPeke's trying to take the Nexus down. Is anyone going to be able to deal with this one? Catches him with another axe. He's very low. They're pushing on the Nexus to his fingers. xPeke's back to get it. I do not believe it. xPeke's stuck in there. Catching it. Takes down the Nexus. Fnatic are going crazy. That game was amazing.
Yeah, obviously Ocelote wasn't thrilled about that one, but him and xPeke kept it very classy.
We are just destroyed right now as a team. We are destroyed because I think we played good. We wanted to show the world, we wanted to show the fans and ourselves that we are one of the best teams of the world already. And we failed.
Just before we wrap that up, xPeke, you want to say something?
Yeah, the way you play today, you are definitely a top team in the world.
And moments like that are why people loved their rivalry so much. 2 players who had nothing but respect for one another. Big personalities and even bigger hearts. As the years went on, xPeke kept up his level of excellence, winning the first 3 EULCS playoffs in a row. But SK was rapidly losing steam. They finished 4th in the 2013 spring playoffs, then didn't qualify for summer. And that's around the time that Ocelote realized that he just wasn't in love with League anymore.
At some point, I was not thinking any longer about the game all the time. And I was thinking about other things like, I want to build something. I want to learn, how to build a company. I want to learn different things. I want to eventually have a wife, I want to build a family. I want to be obsessed with something else, And that realization came on my last year as a player. It was very clear to me that I didn't have the drive to be the #1 in-game anymore, but I did have the drive to be the #1 outside of the game.
So Ocelote left SK Gaming to found his own roster, Gamers 2, which, let's be honest, sounds a lot more like one of those shady CSGO case opening sites than an esports organization.
Hey, Mac.
Whoa!
You wanna buy a case key?
Anyway, the first year was rough. Ocelote was still playing mid, and the team struggled to qualify for the LCS without making much headway. And then his old rival xPeke came to town.
I remember even when I started playing, I had this idea that I wanted to make like my own team, because I used to play games like WoW or any other games, and you have like your clan. I wanted to make something similar to that, like make your team with your group of people that you're friends and make it together.
xPeke founded Origen. He was done with playing for someone else's team. He wanted the glory for himself. So he gathered some of the biggest talents in European League and started from the bottom. Now, Origen had to qualify for Challenger and then win that league just to make it back into the LCS. But Peke didn't let a challenge like that stop him.
Oh, Peke is on the base. It doesn't matter though, because everyone is dying. 4 versus 5.
It's his
Origen are
namesake.
winning. Peke is Pekeing the Nexus. This will be going down here, Stress. And Origen, welcome to the LCS, because you've just dominated this series. You've taken the first place in the spring split of the Challenger Series. Congratulations.
Super minions will be pouring through, and for Origen, 3 inhibitors down, looking for 3-0 to take down the Unicorns of Love. The European regional 3rd place seed is about to be finalized. The second best team in Europe, Origen, pushing Fnatic all the way, getting pushed by Rocket, obliterate Unicorns of Love, and book their tickets to Paris.
Another couple of kills come through as xPeke has nowhere to go. A few more shots will do it. Oh. Boom! The kills come in, and this could be the semifinals for Origen. There's only 1 man left alive. This will surely be the base, and Europe has a semifinalist in the World Championship as Origen win 3-1.
After the first year, I felt like I achieved everything that I wanted to achieve in the next 3 or 4 years. Like, I didn't think that we would go to Worlds in the first year. Like, qualifying for LCS was already like the success for me that year. And then going to Worlds next year or the year after would have been great. So doing all of that in 1 year, it just felt unreal. And yeah, it pretty much felt like a dream to me that everything that I wanted happened so fast.
Origen bulldozed their way through Challenger and the EU LCS, all to make top 4 at Worlds in their first year. xPeke took his rivalry with Ocelote out behind the woodshed and put it out of its misery. He had beaten him as a player and as a team owner and manager. Now that should have been the final word in the Ocelote versus xPeke rivalry. That should have been the end, but it wasn't.
I had in my mind only one thing in mind, which is qualify for the LCS, right? Nothing else was in my mind. And I even went incredibly quiet. I was like, no social media, no streaming, no nothing. I want to just I want to learn, and I want to succeed, you know? And then I will get known again.
Ocelote and the redubbed G2 kept grinding out impressive results throughout the spring split, and eventually they found themselves face to face with xPeke and Origen in the finals. And it was here, on Europe's biggest stage, that Ocelote was finally able to exact some revenge.
Power of Evil, Twisted advance on, he may not last for long, or rather it's the base that G2 have set their sights on, and in 35 minutes, not without mistakes, but they demolish Origen and make a huge statement here in Rotterdam.
Well, turn back to Perks. Oh! Okay! Judging by the pings, he actually hit that one on Power of Evil, by the way.
He did. Power is going to fall oh so low as Kikis Chrono breaks back in. Power's going to get slain, and Emperor gets the credit. Mithy and Amazing nearly fall. This is going to be G2 trying to press their advantage here. How far can they take this? They now turn their attention back towards the Nexus turrets, or rather onto Amazing, who burns his flash. Soaz, though, will answer back to Hybrid. Amazing is going to get batted away by Kikis to dominate this one. Soaz back to Fountain. Will it even keep him alive? It looks like it, but it doesn't matter if the Nexus is going down. And G2, once again, take a huge convincing victory. Such a tense moment here. Origen trying to hang firm. Deathmark already back up. They turn their attention to Sven. Perks going way too low. Oh, Perks! He's gonna grab another kill. It's Amazing and Soad. That's the last Nexus turret. That's gonna be it. We have a new king in Europe after all. 2015, they proved they were LCS material. 2016, they're top of the charts.
It felt fucking great. Because it's not about the opponent failing, it's about you proving to yourself and those that follow you that you have it in you to build something that succeeds, you know? It's about reinventing yourself and feeling so powerful. Like right now, man, I feel so powerful in the sense of there's nothing that can happen that can kill me, except if I die, right? There's nothing else.
From there, G2 went on to also win the summer split, qualifying for Worlds in their first year. But in the wake of G2's tremendous success, Origen fell off pretty hard. they went from finishing second in the spring playoffs to going 0-13 in the summer season. It was among the worst splits in league history, and it meant they had to play in summer promotion, where they got booted back to Challenger after an 0-3 loss to Giants, an org that was less of a league team and more of a perennial punchline. Adding insult to injury, G2 jacked Origen's bot lane out from under them, won 4 straight playoffs, and made it to Worlds again. All of a sudden, it looked like Ocelote would have the final word in the rivalry, if you could even call it that anymore.
What Ocelote has been able to do with G2 esports blows xPeke and Origen's accomplishments and success out the water by such a massive margin that it's offensive to call it a rivalry.
Origen fell off about as hard as any league team can. In between the constant losses, xPeke was in and out of the team, playing mid, then coaching, then coming back to play support, then AD carry, then support again. But no matter where he ended up, it didn't go to plan.
Power secures the kill, sinks his fangs in onto Kasing, but now he's isolated from the team. Caught in a cocoon. In comes the Viking. Power goes gold, and Soaz trying to provide the backup. Will he be able to do it? xPeke flash over the wall.
They can look to fight here. He's looking
They're
for
gonna
it.
try it. Oh, big hero play gone. Amazing though. He's in the front line, taking way too much. Hansama picks him up, and Alfari, what a gnar! That's gonna be Origen trying to finish off Hansama. Power of Evil gets it. Shutdown for Soaz. Misfits are the ones who are starting to get turned on, and xPeke will fall.
xPeke went from top 4 at Worlds to second last in Challenger. It was a remarkable fall from grace for one of League's most iconic players. And by 2017, he'd had enough and decided to step away as a competitor for good. Meanwhile, G2 were on top of the world. And if you asked Ocelote about his old rival, all he could really say was, who?
If you asked me like 5-6 years ago, I would still have every now and then some nightmares about the fucking backdoor. But I no longer do. I mean, it's just, I don't even think about it, you know? Now I have different people on my radar.
Memory is pretty short in the esports world. As G2 rose meteorically, Origen didn't just fall, they were forgotten. EU League fans were too busy being mad at G2 for either not practicing enough for MSI or trash-talking other teams, or just winning too much. But the story couldn't have been more different for xPeke and Origen. After bombing out of Challenger, the team disbanded. All that was left was xPeke and the brand, for whatever that was worth at that point. Until 2019, when some big money came a-knockin', and Origen were given a new lease on life.
Ooh man, big sigh coming out of the Origen representative here in the tub. Water might just be a little bit too hot for xPeke. Real question is though, how long before he subs himself back into the main roster?
Refresh Entertainment, then the owners of Astralis, the best CSGO team ever, bought a spot in the newly franchised LEC, and they also bought the Origen brand to go with it, bringing the long-lost fan-favorite team back to life. And there xPeke was, along for the ride.
Currently, I'm more of a brand ambassador with the team. Of course, I also help with any questions that they have about the branding, about players. I try to help as much as I can. But of course, I'm more disconnected from the players as I was before. I don't play nearly as much. I only watch our games and a few more.
And Origen didn't do half bad in their return to competition, taking second place in the 2019 spring playoffs, their first split back. Of course, they did lose to G2, giving fans their first taste of the legendary rivalry in years.
All of that gold, all of those towers that they've taken down.
Ladies and gentlemen in Twitch chat, press F to pay respect because OG's funeral is coming up.
These days, neither xPeke nor Ocelote play for the teams they founded. They aren't necessarily involved in the day-to-day operations of running those league rosters, but the memory of their legendary rivalry has managed to transcend all of that. Now, xPeke and Ocelote themselves may never face off again, but El Clasico lives on forever.
Because every time I open Twitter, I see comments, and I'm sure he does as well. Like, the fans just keep bringing it up.
So I don't know what he's doing exactly, but I wish him the best. And when I think about Peke right now, I just think about him as a nice guy that was incredibly skilled about in the game. That I think under leveraged his position.
We haven't played the game for a long time. Like we are, yeah. It has nothing to do with our level. It has to do with the fact that we just founded these teams, and now the 10 players are playing. And I think that's pretty cool as well, because you don't really get that in many places. Like you don't see every team, and then you suddenly think about, oh my God, this team 10 years ago played against this team. That doesn't happen much, and I think that's pretty cool, to be honest. To just be remembered all the time for something of the past, I think that's really nice.
A shady key yes, Dan. Shady key reseller. It was embarrassing. It's fucking humiliating. It's fucking shameful. It should be Origen. I'm like a little bit of a stickler for stuff like that, but I'm not gonna win. Esports you can't win in esports. Don't even get me started on Natus Vincera. Don't even get me fucking started, Jason. All right. I don't know. Don't even get me started. This is something that's a conversation that's happened in the office many times.